Good morning, Zio here, and today I do not have my covenant cup of coffee. Yeah, I know, I'm recording this the night prior, right after work, so I'm quite the mess here. But today we will be talking about the Vita, because apparently Sony forgot to tell anybody that they're shutting down the stores. Also, you're probably going to hear my kids in the background because I have tried recording this I don't know how many times. I can't get them to stop or be quiet at this point, so yeah, this is just going to be the norm today. I'm sorry. So grab yourself some coffee, because by the time you're seeing this, I've already had mine. Let's get into it, shall we? And it is official. Sony has finally come out and said that they are no longer they are discontinuing the Vita, the PS3, the PSP stores. And this is something that has always been sort of a loose talking point that we don't always get into it. A lot of people don't normally want to talk about this or think about this. They make excuses for this, that, and the other, and they always think it's going to be there, like Steam, for instance. One day Steam servers will go down. When that day will be, I don't know. Will you be able to play your things? It depends on the thing, and I guess whether or not you can play it in offline mode or not. Some things will be playable, some things won't be. We've seen this happen with games. What was it? I think Shadowrun was it 360? Might have been for 360. I love that game, by the way. That particular first-person shooter, the Shadowrun. And the Shadowrun, really enjoyed that with the powers and stuff. I think that was amazing. Wish it could come back. I don't know if it did or not. But anyway, point is, its servers eventually shut down. Chromehound shut down, but that was also full of hackers. Eventually your favorite games do shut down. Their servers shut down. You can't really play them again. And, we have to go through other means to play them. However, this isn't completely just going to be a rant on how dare you shut down these servers. It was one of those inevitability word that I can't say, so feel free to tell me what it is anyway down in the comments below. But yeah, so anyway, eventually everything shuts down and comes to an end, right? It's not like it's surprising. However, I'm not exactly sure how certain things work in the industry, as I'm not a dev myself. I'm not developing for a game. I always thought you had to sort of buy a license or get an okay to develop for a particular thing, but that may not be the case. Maybe you just need to develop it, then send it off to whoever, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, or whatnot, and say, hey, here's my game. I want to put it on your store. Is that cool? And then, things get rolling from there. You can get the architecture for a lot of things and stuff and make things. Without actually needing their permission to do so. That's why certain things do get shut down, like, when fan passion projects for certain games, whether it be Pokemon or Mega Man or something else, Super Metroid, something, especially when it's a dormant property and somebody's making a fan game that looks great, looks amazing, it's like a complete love letter, and then Nintendo comes in and cease and desist you under penalty of suing you into the dust kind of deal. That rubs everybody the wrong way, especially when it's a dead property that you haven't done anything with, Capcom. Anyway, Point is, people are upset, right? Okay, so I went on to a tangent about stuff. I'm weaving in preservation in here, and we're here to talk about developers, right? Developers are kind of upset. They found out about the same time we found out, which was before this official notice, by the way, because it did get, that info got launched before the official Sony notice came out. But yeah, developers have been developing for the Vita, which on one hand surprises me because Sony abandoned the Vita so long ago. And, I could do a video talking about how I feel the Vita here failed miserably when this system alone should have knocked Nintendo out of the handheld market, if you ask me. I mean, there's various factors as to why that is. And that's why I said I could do a video if somebody wants me to actually espouse my opinions on the Vita. Let me know down in the comments below, and I will get around to it. But you know, it's definitely my favorite handheld. It beats anything Nintendo has ever put out handheld wise, with the exception of the Switch by a mile. You know, but anyway. Point is, there are a lot of indie devs out there who are still developing for the Vita, and they were given no notice whatsoever that this was happening. They were just found out with everybody else, and they're like, we got games in development. They're not going to make the deadline. And that's, you know, an F in the chat now for all those developers, because seriously, you know, I laugh about it, not intentionally to be mean or anything like that. You know, it's just, you know, the Vita has been such a dead thing along with the PSP, and you know, I guess the PS3 had been hanging in there, but you know, for the most part, Sony abandoned these things, and the only thing that's been keeping them alive have been indie developers at this point. You know, occasionally some games, hardcore games come out, and you know, you wind up with physical copies of them. If I can actually make this happen. Okay, you know what? Maybe not. I'm not going to worry about it. But anyway, they still come out with physical games and stuff. And yeah, I'm being stared at. So if there's this weird cut here, you know, my oldest decided he was going to come in here and try and sneak and take his phone after he has lost it due to them not listening, essentially, and doing what they've been asked to do, which was just clean up a table that they've messed up. That was it. Clean up the trash. Anyway, so where was I? Developers, you know, they're upset. The indie developers are, because they're the only ones doing anything, which, you know, is understandable. I mean, you've got this one particular one here, Lemio Games. They found out with everybody else that developed Twin Breaker, Hyproxia, Pearls of Barking, Hyproxia 2, you know, and I think, and was in development for another game, I believe, and now they're going to wind up having to cancel it. You know, and these are games that I've not played, so I can't really speak to them or anything. But, you know, at the same time, it's sad that these things are going to, you know, go down. Their Vita ports are going to happen. You know, you got this one here, Scourgebringer of the PS Vita will be a limited release and will only be available for 128 days before vanishing. No developer puns intended in the number, for April 22 to August 27th, 128 days to get the last PS Vita game to release digitally. And, you know, there's a lot of Vita or indie developers who are crunching right now in an attempt to try and get their game out before the deadline so people will have a chance to download these games. They had no heads up whatsoever. But, you know, it really is. I mean, I guess to quote this particular thing I highlighted, I think it's a real shame, to be honest. And I don't need a developer to say that, because I personally think that myself. But, you know, we're at the point where this shouldn't even be a discussion about game preservation. But that's kind of where we start going towards when we talk about this. This is why I spent the first few minutes talking about preservation. You know, we've got emulators. I think at the end of my Mario video, I did bring up an emulator to play Mario All-Stars, the original Super Nintendo version. I own that game, you know, but there's a lot of games out there. The only way to actually access them is through emulation at this point. And, you know, there's a lot of companies. Anyway, the companies out there, the big ones and stuff now, are doing all that they can to prevent things like emulation as well, right? You know, for instance, tying you know, achievements and things to the PS4's BIOS clock or CMOS battery or whatever it was. I can't remember at the moment. My brain's fried from the day. But anyway, tying it to that internal clock. So when that clock dies, the game ceases to function because the trophy system is linked to that, right? And you would have to replace that entire chip or battery or whatever it is. I haven't actually seen the innards of the PS4 in a very long time, so I don't really quite frankly remember what it looks like. Anyway, in order to actually boot it back up again and continue playing your games, things like that, or the whole DRM type deal, always online. When you've got a game that, for instance, like, what was it, SimCity 5 when it came out? There's a lot of things that I could criticize about SimCity 5 compared to its predecessors. In my opinion, SimCity 5 is definitely a 2 out of 5. Game-wise, and with the DRM, which was completely unnecessary for a game that was single-player for the most part, with some loose multiplayer in there, it was a solid 1 out of 5 for me at that point. And just as it is right now, it's a solid 2 out of 5. Compared to what you could do with its predecessors, that game, quite frankly, sucks. If I want to get real with you, I love it though, because I love the SimCity franchise, and it is the newest whatever in the series, and I do love playing it. Modders have done so much better with it and have made it actually playable for the most part. But anyway, back to preservation and emulation and stuff. That's where we find ourselves at. We're having to emulate things in order to play them. I've got a whole host of Nintendo games that I have that are emulated on various spots. My PSP, which is not in here and needs a new battery, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually find a battery without searching eBay, and who knows how much that's going to cost me. But I turned that thing into an emulation station. It played Super Nintendo games, it played PS1 games, it played NES games, and I'm pretty sure I had a Sega variant on there for one of the Sega consoles, and I can't remember which one it was. My DS, also my old DS, is an emulation box handheld. That's where I like to play a lot of say Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3. I was playing it on there, and I think I had Final Fantasy 3, which was the Super Nintendo variant of Final Fantasy 6. Was actually released in, I think, chronicle order and stuff. I haven't done that with my Vita. I hear it's incredibly easy to do. I just haven't gotten around to it. And my Wii is an emulation box at this point too. I don't really play a whole lot of Wii things on there, but it does have the emulating capabilities to emulate stuff. So again, I've got a whole library of Super NES games and stuff like that over on my Wii. It's not exactly something I can sit there and tell you to go do, right? Because, technically, I guess it's illegal or whatnot, but, the things that I have are games that I already own too. So, you can still make that argument that you've got the ROM because you own the game, so technically you can do that because, that is an argument to it. And they're all games that I've played throughout the years. They're all games that I own the original case to, the original cartridge to, the original disc to, things like that. Like, I've got DOSBox for Doom. I have Doom on PS3. I have Doom on my PC through Steam. I have Doom on DOSBox on my PC. I've got Doom downloaded like a few other locations too where it was available, and I just can't remember where on the top of my head. And I'm not talking about current Doom. I'm talking about old 1990, what was it, 5, 4, something like that, Doom 2, that sort of variants. I've got a disc somewhere, might be behind me for all I know, of the Doom Master Collection. It's got like Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom, whatever levels and stuff like that. Because preservation is a big thing for me. I guess I never really thought of it as preservation because I like to, collect a lot of these things. But we're losing that in today's industry, especially with things like this happening. I mean, we've got games that are going to wind up not being released. It's, But essentially, this thing that I highlighted kind of sums up a lot of that stuff. But something that needs to happen at a publisher level, otherwise, players looking to replay these games will have to acquire them from questionable sources instead of the consoles they're intended for. By removing the legitimate option, publishers aren't leaving players with much choice. It essentially is frustrating given how much effort Microsoft is putting into preserving its library and seeing great success with it. Which is, of course, another thing. If you want another one-up notch for what Xbox is currently doing, they are trying to attempt to preserve games over there with several of the things they have on there. But you've got this game here, Lucky Lizard Lives Again. That's not even going to happen. It's apparently free to play, but because it's going down, the store is going down, it's not even going to get out of development, and you're going to wind up with another one of those. You're going to wind up with a lot of things similar to, say, Star Fox 2, right? Star Fox 2 was developed, and in my opinion, we'll save that for some other time, because I kind of love Star Fox 2, right? I recently got to play it. I was like, how did they not launch this? Like, whose idea was it to cancel this? And I'm sure I know the answer to that already. I just can't think of it at the top of my head when I was thinking about it. But, it's one of those things that later in life, 20 years down the road, somebody comes out and it's like, oh, by the way, here's these games that were done or near completion that never actually got launched because of this, that, and the other, right? Which is nice for the preservation kind of thing when the ROM gets dumped or something onto the internet, so people can actually maintain it and play it and give it a chance to look at it and stuff like that. But yeah, nobody was really informed that this was happening until the rest of us was informed that it was happening. There's several Vita games that are just never going to come out as a result. Anyway, this video is 1,000 times longer than I meant it to be. So yeah, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.